What's up, everybody? Today we are featuring this 2016 Range Rover Sport HSE, which is brought to us by First International Auto Group out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. Definitely check out this Range Rover on their site and many more fantastic cars which we've featured on the channel. Before we begin, let's run through some stats. This Range Rover Sport HSE is the post-facelift L494 model, which features the 3-liter supercharged V6, making 340 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque, and we have it paired to an 8-speed automatic with manual shift mode, 4-wheel drive with a terrain response system, and a quoted 0 to 60 at 6.9 seconds, which a curb weight of 5,500 pounds, that's a pretty good 0 to 60 time. Of course, the Sport isn't the full-size Range Rover, but it is quite big at 191 inches of length, 81.6 inches width, and 70 inches of height with a 8.4-inch ground clearance, which, so if you're going to take this thing off-road, you definitely still have some ground clearance, which is good, but I don't see anyone doing that. I think most of these are tarmac princesses. Brand new, this HSE trim would have brought you to over $70,000, and obviously including whatever options you'd like to tack on to that price. But we have a just over 21,000 list price here at First International Auto Group. This Range Rover Sport HSE has just above 65,000 miles on it and still in great shape. So checking out these back seats, as you can see, we have plenty of room back here. We have heated seats, we have vents, we have these awesome Meridian speakers, and little cargo net in front of us. Overall, a very comfortable back seat, and I still have about 3 inches of headroom above me, sitting at 5'9", and sitting behind myself, about 2 or 3 inches of leg room. Of course, this isn't the largest Range Rover, so you're not going to get the biggest back seats, but this is still a car that's going to be quite comfortable if you are having someone chauffeur you. And my favorite touch in here is this big sunroof, which is panoramic. Not going to have that open on this chilly New Hampshire day, but it is still nice to have the shade open, which you can close via the buttons up front. So my first impressions of this Range Rover Sport interior is that there's just high quality materials everywhere. You know, there's not like an inch of plastic in this car, and it really shows. I do not really appreciate the gloss black they have going on in here, but what can you do? Maybe if you're speccing one of these, you can opt for a different material to take up your center stack, just because there's gonna get so much dust and fingerprints on this stuff. And with, you know, this being a 2016, we still have lots of physical buttons for everything, which is great, but that just leads to more fingerprints on this rather than, you know, on a screen, which would honestly be easier to clean. So we don't have Apple CarPlay in here, but we do have Bluetooth, which I hooked up just fine. I have my Spotify going before, and these Meridian speakers are just phenomenal. If you're going to get one of these and you're an audiophile, you're going to be very appreciative of these speakers. They're so great. We also have dual climate control in here, and of course climate control for our front seats. So the rear has obviously heated seats, which is awesome, but here we have heated and cooled, which we can control via our front screen. It's interesting, sometimes you'll see cars that have a heated function and a cooled function, but never really a whole climate section on their infotainment screen for that, and I think that's an interesting thing that Range Rover has done. While we're stopped, we have controls to obviously change our drive modes here if we're going over certain varying levels of terrain, and then we have a height adjustment here. We have auto start stop off, which I just turned it off so the car came back on, traction control button, and of course with our shifter we can put it into sport and manual shift mode. This Range Rover Sport HSE also has a built-in navigation system, nice high quality backup camera, and of course an ability to make calls once you set up that Bluetooth. These black leather seats are quite comfortable. They have tons of adjustments and of course memory for me and my front passenger. We have 3 settings here for memory for the driver's seat and 2 for our front passenger. And I have found myself to have a very lovely driver's position, but I will say that I wish I was slightly lower. I feel like I can't get low enough in this car, which is fine, but honestly, if you're a person who drives a lot of sports cars, you're someone who likes to sit low most of the time. And of course, this isn't a sports car, but you still kind of feel like you want to get a little lower. And you know, I'm 5'9", and I have plenty of headroom above me, but someone who's like 6'3" or 6'4" will honestly probably have a hard time fitting in this car. Regarding the steering wheel, we have pretty standard controls here. We have our cruise control, our heated steering wheel button, and of course just general settings that we can customize our gauge cluster and turning on our driver assistance or seeing our trips or display settings and whatnot. I do wish that they had a volume control button on here. But, you know, this Range Rover having a lot of physical buttons and so many different settings and things you can adjust, it's a car that you definitely have to learn, right? My perspective as someone who reviews cars, I get in them and I say, okay, what are the things that you're going to use all the time, and are they easy to find? Are they easy to control? And is this car easy to learn, right? But this is definitely a car that you're going to have to get in and you're going to learn, and you're going to have to really spend some good time just playing around with the settings and figuring out really what works for you. All right, so let's talk fuel economy. So we get 19 mpgs in the city, 23 on the highway. We have a 27-gallon fuel tank in here, so although the fuel economy isn't great, you're still going to get plenty of range to each tank, which is awesome. And if you're doing a long road trip, you know, 23 times 27 adds up pretty quick. Overall, the sound deadening in here is something I really want to mention. It's just so quiet in this interior, and of course this isn't as, you know, luxurious and grand as Range Rovers get. This isn't the full size, this is just the Sport. And I'm just so impressed because you could have a conversation at whispers and be able to hear the person next to you just fine, even on the highway. The steering in here is pretty good. You can definitely tell it's electronically assisted. It's very light, but you still have a nice feel to the road. I can really sense where my tires are. Even with how big this thing is, you definitely want a good steering feel, because if you're kind of trying to place it in between, you know, shorter roads, or if you're trying to park it in a tight spot, you're really going to want to know where your tires are. And this car, you know, is pretty confidence inspiring as far as steering goes. Visibility is also great. Even looking to my right and my left, I have these big mirrors and plenty of visibility out my rear windows too, so you don't have, you know, a big C-pillar to block your vision. You don't really have much blind spot to worry about in this car. All right, so let's test out this suspension system. So we're approaching the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire at about 20 miles an hour, like I always do, and let's see how this thing handles it. Like a dream. Of course, we still bounce around a little bit, but I honestly have a feeling that road is getting worse. Every time I go on it, there's more and more potholes, and they definitely need to fix it. And I'm almost going to start avoiding it if they don't fix it soon, because I don't want to break anybody's car on that. All right, while we're stopped, let's throw it into reverse. Our backup camera is kind of clouded up with salt right now, but we do have a backup camera, and it's pretty decent quality even with the salt. Alright, so unfortunately my GoPro keeps overheating on me now and shutting down, so to conclude my thoughts on this Range Rover Sport HSE, at just above $20,000 and, you know, 64,000 miles on it, it's quite intriguing. You know, you get plenty of goodies in here, including heated and cooled front seats, heated rear seats, keyless entry, push button start, gorgeous panoramic sunroof, all the tech and luxury in the world that 2016 had to offer. Don't have CarPlay, but we do still have Bluetooth and phenomenal Meridian speakers that work awesome. We have memory, power adjusted seats, which are great, and plenty of comfort for you and 4 other passengers. With that being said, if you can look and overlook the maintenance and put some money aside to get this thing fixed when it does break here and there, you definitely will have a very comfortable daily driver for you and your family. But with that being said, please leave your comments and your questions below. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all next time on Auto Joe. Bye-bye.